Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Known Classic. That's episode number 2975 and double number 2869. Yes, I do know the fact that at this point there's 25 episodes to go for episode 3,000. Could I get to it in the next 2 weeks? It's possible, but who knows? Okay, first up, now this is basically two Magic books per se. First up we have is Grant Morrison, The Seven Soldiers of Victory, Volume 2. Now this is not the... Now I have reviewed trades already, except it was the original trades for this series. This is a new hardcover that DC released about 13 years ago, where the first volume basically just covered the first 2 volumes of the series, and the second volume pretty much covered this volume here, what was collected in volumes 3 and 4. Now, I did review volumes 1 and 2 6 years ago, and volume 4 also 6 years ago. Now, the problem is basically I've had difficulty finding volume 3 because I just by sheer coincidence found the first 2 volumes and 4 at my local Ollie's for like about $4. And this is a series that I really enjoy still to this day. But the problem is, they for some reason never got their hands on Volume 3. And for the last several years, I have tried at Comic-Con to find that missing volume. But I'm like, I can't find the damn thing. So I decided just to, this app has basically next time. Okay. I didn't know about the hardcover because I knew about the paperbacks. So this book does things that I may have reviewed already. So, yeah, Grant Morrison's a writer with Fraser Irving, Mikhail Fury, Ryan Snook, Michael McRae, Yannick Pernick, which he told, I met this guy. He's actually the only person who, actually, 2 people working this book I actually met. That'd be one of the artists. Actually, 3 artists. He told me this actually was the first work he worked on in comics. He's a great artist. Serge Yabud, Doug Mankey. I actually met this guy. I believe I got him to sign my copy of, I think it was a Justice League book, I think it was. Billy Dallas Patton, Michael Barr, Freddie Williams, I met him. He's actually been at American Atlanta a couple months. And James Williams' third with cover art by Ryan Snook. Basically, what was collected in the volumes 3 and 4 is this very trade here. And this book contains 7 Soldiers, Caloran the Witch Boy, 7 Soldiers, Mr. Miracle, volumes 3 and 4, which is technically considered to be the 4th volume Mr. Miracle. 7 Soldiers Santana, 7 Soldiers Bulleteer 3 and 4, and the entire miniseries of 7 Soldiers Frankenstein, along with 7 Soldiers of Victory, number 1. Sweet. I have heard that this is supposed to lead to something that DC just didn't bother to do anything with it. Now, of course, of all of these characters, now Zatanna, of course, is a very well-known character. He's been around since the 60s. Who actually had a miniseries here. Great miniseries. It was actually her first. It was actually her second miniseries of her own. She did have one published back in the late 80s. Excuse me, she had her own ongoing. But the first thing published in here is, I kid you that the first thing in here is Caloran the Witch Boy, which this was technically his first ever solo book. Before the end of the Senti book. Yes. Where basically it's the Fraser Irving book. Basically, it is just people trying to burn him at a stake because he's a witch boy. It's basically in the past, and of course he's saved by a guy in a drill, which apparently is supposed to be like, I think it's with Caloran's father, I think it was. It's not set in present day, it's set in the past for Caloran. When you think Caloran the Witch Boy, you think of Achica Demon. Nope, he is not in this issue. And then, of course, we have Mr. Miracle number 3. This actually is not Scott-free. This actually is his apprentice. And this book, like I said, is considered to be the 4th volume of Mr. Miracle, because we had the 5th volume published by written by Tom King, and I think it was Mitch Gerards. I think it was Mitch Gerards on the... No, I think it was... I don't remember who it was, basically, the book, but It wasn't a volume for Mr. Miracle. It was a very critically acclaimed book per se. So this is called New Gods. This is they say part 1, but actually this is like 3 and 4 here. We have Bakelfer and the Ark. Basically, this is all about. His name is Shallow Norman. This whole miniseries is basically it's his adventures. Yes, and when they present this, it's almost like basically they presented this out of order. This like they say it contains 3 and 4. It's more like it contains the whole miniseries of Mr. Miracle. Yep. We see him not with Obsidian per se, just with other characters. And then we cut to the Santana issue, where it's basically Santana preparing for a show. Eventually put just a few years after this miniseries came out, she was the only person who actually got a series out of this, believe it or not. Yes, she actually had a short-lived ongoing series, which was really good and has been collected in trade a couple times. Yes, her whole short-lived ongoing series, which I say short-lived because it was really good. Now, why in the world was it so short? The New 52. So, yeah, by the way, this miniseries does not wear her traditional outfit. She wears a slightly different outfit. Of course, you see the guy called Zor, who just some person she has to counter, and of course, she's wearing this weird outfit in the book. Yeah, it's not like her traditional outfit, just another outfit she has. And basically, it was a bunch of other guys. And the series gets wrapped up in a nice little bow. With basically, it's like, oh yeah, Sam, my stepbrother invaded Earth. I thought of you. And then we cut to the Bulleteer book. Yes. This is another book they pretty much in the way just. The whole thing of the Bulleteer, this is a field Bulleteer. I believe in early issues they did feature the original Bulleteer. Who, the way they presented it, and I remember this really well, is that the current Bulleteer met her at a Comic-Con. Yeah, basically at a signing, and there she was. This book is basically about how she got what her powers are, and in fact her husband was murdered by this other woman who was supposed to be a friend of hers, who just murdered her husband. And of course we have Bang. And then we cut to the Frankenstein book. Yes, the Frankenstein book. Which this book is done by Doug Mackey. Yeah, he does his artwork. You're like, wow. I actually really enjoy Doug Mackey's artwork. Yeah. He has a sort of semi-realistic style when it comes to faces, which, yeah. There's like this weird thing in the book where it's like we have this girl who's like which some people look, she's a bit chubby, and yeah, and she's here, and of course, he's this crazy guy. Frankenstein doesn't do much this book. And then, of course, the issue ends with him basically Frankenstein lives. And then we do the Mr. Miracle issue, which is technically issue 4, which is basically just Mr. Miracle just dealing with other stuff. Yeah, we have these other events going on here. And then, of course, the issue ends with appearance by Boss Darkseid, a.k.a. Darkseid reincarnated as a human. Yes. Believe it or not. Yeah, and then we have the Bulleteer. And then the issue opens up with the death of the spider from the original episode's victory, except that this is a mild retcon, because here's the thing. Grant Morrison's fellow British writer James Armstrong's already killed this guy off in the Shade miniseries, where he was killed by the Shade. His real name is Lucius Ludlow Dote, a.k.a. the Spider. Next slide. Now, those who be curious about basically like why did the Spider get killed by the Shade? It was established in the miniseries that any person with name Ludlow, which for some reason, any person who was part of that family, when they see Shade, they had to immediately try to kill him. And despite the fact he killed one guy who was a father, basically, this mother told, yeah, you can stop doing that. Just spare her son. She's probably give a damn about her husband. But left her alone. And of course, yeah, the spider basically tried to murder Jay Garrick. And of course, basically have other people associated with the original Seven Soldiers Victory. And yeah. Yep. Yeah, don't lose this guy is a werewolf. I was right. Yep. And then we come back to Frankenstein. Oh, I love this though. Red zombies. And you have Frankenstein monster riding a freaking monster. It's so awesome. Yeah, but he gets a visit, I think in this history here, by no acquaintance of his. Yeah. Right, it's a monster. Yep. So he walks away. Oh, it's not in this issue. Okay, so then we have the Mr. Miracle book, which is more Mr. Miracle stuff with him just doing stuff and typical Mr. Miracle stuff per se. I like the artwork. Not big fan of the writing here. I think, as of now, I think it's more of the weaker miniseries. I love the Frankenstein one because that's awesome. And then we have the Bulleteer. Yeah, and of course you do with Spider. Oh yeah, this is where basically where she meets the original Bulleteer. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not sure why they combined it here. And of course, she's basically just. Then she's in the women's restroom. We come across a girl in a mask where she looks like she's about to get high with a shrinking serum. In a bathroom. There's a spider in her back because, well, the spiders in this book. Yeah. Stuff happens, and of course, basically, where this guy basically still tries to hit on her, and the spider tries to shoot him, of course, gets away. And at one point, it seems like we have the Crimson Avenger show up. Yes, the Crimson look like a Crimson Avenger with a freaking revolver. Yep. Yeah, then it really turns out to be a villainous. Yes. And then we cut to the Frankenstein book. The Frankenstein basically just fighting more monsters. And then finally his ex-wife shows up. Like this way. Who's there? Who look like to you? Long time no see, you miserable old bastard. I'm like, hot damn, Frankie, your ex-wife's hot. Yeah, and she's got 4 arms. Yes, for some reason she's like this. Yeah, and the reason why she's here? Is because he's joining Shade. Yep, the organization Shade. Which New 52 was led by Father Time, who's in the form of a little girl wearing a sailor outfit and a domino mask. Yep. So yeah, now he was working with his hot ex-wife, and then of course we finally come across the final issue of the Mr. Miracle miniseries. It's all about escapism. We see his life, and of course he deals with other people. Yeah. He deals with weird stuff here. It's interesting what it is. And then it cuts to the final issue of the blue, like, this basically Bulleteer. She ends up being crushed with her refrigerator. Yes, our refrigerator. Oh yeah, because she's jealous of the fact that this woman dare get married. And then she picks it up. It's like, oh, you're the one who killed my husband. And whacks her with the refrigerator. And of course, she breaks her arm, but luckily enough, basically she's made of metal. Yeah. And the only reason why this girl killed her husband because she's so jealous of Bulleteer's life before she became the Bulleteer. And that's the reason why she murdered her husband. You're like, really? And then, of course, she gets shot at, but nothing much happens to her. Yep. And then, of course, then she falls out of a window, falls in a car, she gets up, and then hits her with a freaking... looks like a... she gets hit with a freaking engine. First her fridge, now we hit her with an engine. Okay. Oh, okay, so this actually is not Crimson Avenger. This is the Vigilante. Greg Saunders, the original one. The Western version. Yes. Yeah, then we cut to the final issue of the Frankenstein miniseries. He beats us the monster. He is hot ex-wife. Yeah, and then we go through the alien invasion stuff here. This weird alien person who's obsessed with him. Yes. It's a really cool miniseries, and then we lead into 7th Victory #1. This is drawn by J.H. Williams the third, and we see first we find out this alien invasion, where we have Justina, which I'm not sure why in the world that Grant Morrison created this Shining Knight, even though we already had a Shining Knight. Yeah, where the person's name is Justina, but how is that guy? Well, the kind of is the reason for that because Glorina, the second Shining Knight, is transgender. Is basically transgender, and then we have more Jack Kirby stuff, which I love Jack Kirby stuff. It's a bunch of basically next 2 pages is all a bunch of love letter to Jack Kirby and other famous creators, and then we have National Guardian, basically the Guardian character, one in Manhattan, and we have the Bulleteer. It's they all come together to fight up against alien invasion, and that's it. Just a really good miniseries. I love this thing. It's so awesome. And that's it for this book here. I give 7 Swords Victory, Book 2, a 10 out of 10. I guess I give final thoughts on this Grant Morrison 7 Swords Victory stuff because now I've technically covered the whole thing for it. Really good book. I love all these miniseries. I would say that the weakest one is probably Mr. Miracle. It's not because it's black. I didn't find the story interesting, but I'm happy that I got out of the way, but there's that. Next up is a recent miniseries that came out just this year. This is from Marvel Comics. An event that, for a lot of people, no one cared about, Absolute Power. This is basically Marvel's publishing at the time. Blood Hunt by Jed MacKay, where in the book, Blade has become evil because he's possessed by another demon called the Valkor, who was the first vampire. Yep. And also this book, Moon Knight dies and it comes back. Yeah, and of course, the book collects basically the whole 5-issue miniseries of Blood Hunt plus Become a Day. And of course, first I started with Spider-Man, where he's fighting Dr. Dark. Yes. Beats him 2-3 pages. That's how Dr. Dimension, and of course we have Daredevil just looking at his batons, beating up. Yeah, basically this is when the vampires come in, and then we see Blade's daughter, which of course they confirm in her original miniseries she is in fact an open lesbian. Yeah, then she runs into, the vampire gets killed. Then she runs into her father's arch nemesis, Dracula. Yes, Marvel loves using Dracula. Well, they don't use Bela Lugosi's version. And of course you have Black Dolt keeps them all alive. And we have Social Documentary of this woman. We have Dark Star. A few people basically, especially of course, basically this whole documentary covered whole planet everything turned to vampires. Well, and of course they work with actually, yeah. That's weird. Actually, Moon Knight died at the end of his ongoing, his previous lives. Sorry, I have to keep blowing my nose. I got a stuffy nose here. Okay, so yeah, so we have Hunter's Moon here working with Tigra, who was dating him in the book. So the Avengers line in this book is Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Thor, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, The Vision, Captain America. Representing that mission, Hunter's Moon, Tigra, and separate characters is Doctor Doom, Clea, Doctor Strange, and Blade. And here's the thing about this book: the ending is set up for February's event. We'll get to that. So, if he'll be turned to vampires across the planet, Doctor Doom basically is aware of this. Blade is kind of responsible for it. Blade does this weird thing where he just eliminates vampires and brings them back for reasons, and of course you have people fighting the vampires. Then we have this group of people basically we have Avengers fighting him, and it's just pure chaos, but it's awesome. And then we see Doctor Strange and his beautiful wife Clea on Bleecker Street basically planning everything out, and of course basically it's like, oh yeah, there's a vampire uprising, and of course, they mentioned apparently what happened to Moon Knight. And of course, Jed McKay referenced that because he wrote this particular issue. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and then of course the first issue ends with Blade stabbing Doctor Strange. So in the Impossible City, Thor has been captured. Scarlet Witch have been insane. So basically, Blade isn't turned evil. Of course, this is what, later in this video he's possessed by the Valkyr. So, and of course, Bloodline herself. And of course, she's working with Dracula. Of course, it's revealed in the Dracula miniseries. Yep. Then you have Miles basically helping out here. Yeah, Doctor Strange turned his body turned vampire. His astral form basically is on its own. And then we have Captain Marvel basically here. By the way, in her brand new outfit. Apparently, according to Alyssa Wong, they have a good idea to basically debut a new outfit, the way she explained it to me. Let's see if we can find it here. Because basically, I actually asked her on Twitter about this outfit that Kara wears. Okay, so Carol's new outfit was designed by Jen Brittle, and basically is based upon her Hellfire Gal look. So that's basically what Alyssa Wong told me about it. Best person to ask the creator if you want to know a question. Ask basically the creator. Of course, she would know because she wrote the last Captain Marvel book, which ended after only 10 issues. 10. Of course, yeah. You have the Avengers basically kicking butt, taking no names. This book we have Carol trying to break a Dark Force. Actually, she does. Limits vampires, and then the next issue ends with basically Miles revealing he's a vampire too. Oh, by the way, it's also apparently that Black Panther is working with him too. Yeah. Excuse me. Now you're probably thinking like, okay, so does the whole thing of Miles Vampire, does this carry over its own book? Yeah, it does. So, yeah. And here's the thing. Guess what keeps Miles' vampire powers at bay? His Venom Blast. Yep. So yeah, basically Blade has overthrown Dracula. So the only way to stop Blade is to have his daughters take him down. Yes, his daughter. And you have Sam Wells making for the Avengers. Of course, Blade be upset because, well, he's possessed. Oh yeah, by the way, Jed McKay not only writes Moon Knight, he was writing Doctor Strange, but not anymore, but he just writes Moon Knight. Well, actually, it's known as Moon Knight Fist of Gotham. And he also writes Avengers. Yep. Oh, he also writes X-Men as well. So, a lot of big stuff here with the whole... So, Doctor Strange makes a deal with Doctor Doom to save the world by giving up his mantle as Sorcerer Supreme. Yes, given the book. Now, in case you're curious, they mentioned Blade Vampire, probably the recent book per se. Now, did Jed McKay write the recent Blade book? No, that was Brian Edward Hill. He wrote that book. So he agrees, and well, and of course they bring in the Strange Academy. Yes, they apparently help him out, and of course, Wrecker the Red Crew is here because of course he is. So the only way to stop Blade, and of course this is when Moon Knight himself comes back in the book. Of course, this brings back his own ongoing series. And Thor basically is back in action here with the Avengers leading to the final issue. Of course, Doctor agrees to become the Sorcerer Supreme in exchange for help saving the world. Which, of course, basically, well... Yeah, here's something interesting, though, that a lot of stuff basically sees just Blade and Breely just working together. Like, wait, what do they do in this book? Well, that's actually explained in the Dracula Blood Hunt miniseries. Yep. So, Vision, of course, gets back, don't worry. And, of course, Doctor Doom ends up saving the world, but he doesn't give it the power. Of course, Blade himself is finally stopped, and the Valkyries basically excise his body. Yes, excised. And, of course, he can't because he shows the way. Miles basically is immune from the sun. So is Dracula for some reason. Probably because of Blade. And, of course, basically, New Earth Source Supreme, Victor Von Doom, which I love that logo there. Yeah, and there's a reason why, basically, they decided to do this. And here's the weird thing, though. They're building up, basically, next month in Spider-Man for some reason. So, excuse me, the Miles stuff isn't hitting this own book, which, of course, keeps secret of his own girlfriend, which... In the current book, actually for the last couple of volumes of the book, he's been eating Vulture's granddaughter, who's black. I have no problem with that, because I'm sure probably this probably happened with him. Here's the thing. Stan Lee has, from what I can tell, a lot of his major characters in comics that he has created has never, ever been depicted as a racist. None. None of them hate black people. Never. I mean, look at Jameson. Like, Randy Robinson basically put out in the book that just to make Jameson white, he's not a racist. His son assumed basically that, but no. He pointed out, nope, he is not a racist. Because Randy Robinson basically is a black man who has a high level position at the Daily Bugle. And by the way, he debuted in the 70s. Which, of course, because if you read the original Spider-Man comic 60s, this would not happen. By the time the 70s were around, he was basically able to break through no problem. And Jameson has always been written to be just a regular. Well, he doesn't his whole thing is hate Spider-Man per se, but he does not hate black people. He's never been depicted as that. And Vulture, not a racist. I mean, look at Lightmaster. His daughter is biracial. His daughter is Sun Girl, believe it or not. Yes. So, and I do criticize basically Marvel while ignoring what Bendis accomplished with having Bombshell dating Miles, because that seemed like a good idea. But for some reason, Ryan was like, nah, let's not have him date Bombshell. Let's date this random black girl who appears in this book, and then she disappears, and then he hooks up with Tombstone's granddaughter, which is currently naming. Very interesting combination. I'm like, what's wrong with Bombshell? Because Bendis wrote it for a long time. She had a thing for Miles. And here's the thing about it. I've never had a problem with mixed couples. Mixed rich couples. Biggest example of this is from Marvel Comics. We have Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. From DC, we have Wally West and Linda. I go on about basically about this, but for Bloodline itself, really interesting miniseries. It has a good, nice ending to it, but the ending is just set up for One World Under Doom, a 8-issue limited series event that will start next February. I think probably live next year, which looks interesting. And we bring back Thunderbolts, which of course we got to bring back Thunderbolts because we have a movie coming next year for that one. And it's even a Sam Wilson coming next year because he's featured in the movie. Because Marvel loves doing this. And Blade has a Red Band miniseries published after this. By the way, Blade's a lot of expansion of stuff because Blade, if you read this book, he's not featured a lot in this book per se. It's most what some Marvel characters fighting vampires. If you're curious what Blade is up to, read Midnight Sun's Blood Hunt, which I'll review in the future. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do the like button. Next up is the healer who was banished was back the strongest. Okay, thanks. Bye.